Hi, Willie Koorts here again with another video in the moments of history of the optical astronomy in Southern Africa. Now today's story is Starlore again, titled The Moon is the Shoe of Mantis. Now this story tells us about how the moon came about, how death came into this world, and also why the Hare has still got a split upper lip today. A quick word about the term Bushman. After consulting several sources, it seems like the jury is still out on the political correctness of the terms Bushman and San. The term Bushman still seems to be the most widely accepted word amongst traditional Bushmen, and that San is actually an insulting term to some groups. Whenever we talk about oral cultures, this quote always comes to mind. In oral cultures, words evaporate as they are spoken. The same story can therefore never be told twice in exactly the same way. Just a quick background about the author who preserved these wonderful stories for us to enjoy today. Gideon Retief von Wielligh was born in Paarl in 1859. As a young child, he often travelled with his father, a travelling merchant, to Bushman land. And then at night he was sitting around a fire listening to these fascinating stories being told by the Bushmen. He later became a land surveyor and he opened an office in Calvinia where he started collecting stories in seriousness, eventually publishing up to 60 stories in 4 volumes of Boesmanstories. About 10% of these are celestial in origin, which are the ones that we've been sharing here. Most of the celestial stories are in volume 1, titled Mythology and Legends, published in 1919, just about 100 years ago now. To illustrate these, I asked Carol Botha if she could produce these scenes as Bushman paintings. Before doing this, she made a few interesting discoveries while researching the background about Bushman drawings. They often represented water as little squiggly lines or little bubbles. Imaginary lines were drawn with little dots around them, similar to what we would do a dotted line. Now the mantis features in most of their stories, often the head figure. The great water snake, they believed, was a snake who lived under the earth and carried this shiny stone on its forehead. People often wanted to steal the stone, but never managed to. Now, the great water snake controlled the lakes and even the rain and dew. People in a trance or shaman state are often depicted with buck heads. Martin Kilkenny, a graphic designer and son of one of our astronomers, Dave Kilkenny, also illustrated 2 of these stories for us. The narration was wonderfully done by Hennie-Chris, son of Hennie Maas from RSG Sterre en Planete fame. Chris Maas also features on RSG these days with his own radio program.
The moon is the shoe of Mantis. This story explains the origin of the moon, but also how death came into this world and why the Hare has a split upper lip. Mantis made himself a neat pair of sandals, with which he was very pleased. One of them, however, the right shoe, was hard and hurt him. He therefore asked his daughter, the hammerhead bird, to go and put the shoe in the water to soften overnight. When the great water snake saw this, he was very angry. How dare Mantis pollute the water with his dirty shoe? So, overnight, he let the pond freeze over, and the shoe got stuck. The next morning, when Mantis sent Hammerhead to fetch his shoe, she had to break it loose from the ice. When she brought it to Mantis, it still had a large piece of ice attached. When Mantis saw this, he was furious. He took the frozen shoe and tossed it high up into the sky. Windbird and Hammerhead were friends. The Bushmen believed that Windbird stayed in a cave high up in the mountains and caused all the wind on earth by flapping its wings. Hence, the apparent origin of the wind from the mountains. Hammerhead then asked Windbird to take the shoe high up into the sky. The shoe, with the shiny piece of ice attached, began to shine at night. The people of the ancient race then saw the moon for the first time. They covered their faces with their hands and praised and honored the moon. They were glad because now they could hunt at night, ambush game at the waterholes, and shoot porcupines. The sun did not like this at all. He wanted to shine alone in the sky. He therefore attacked the moon and shot fiery arrows at it, which caused the moon to melt, until only the sole of Mantis' shoe remained, stained red by the Kalahari sand. The people were very unhappy about the moon that was now gone, and they cried and wept. They pleaded with the great water snake, asking him to devise a plan to bring back the handy light at night. The great water snake then caused a spring in the sole of the shoe, which again would freeze over and shine as before. The people were very happy about this. Again, the sun attacked the moon with fiery arrows, causing it to melt. This is why the moon, still today, shows phases all the time, from full moon to new moon, back to full moon. The Bushmen believed that the resulting moon water was the dew, frost, and snow on earth, and that it possessed magical healing power. It so happened that, one day, moon water dripped on leftover pieces of meat left behind by lions. The scraps of meat turned into mice. This is how mice came about. In those days, the people of the old generation didn't die permanently. Like the moon water always caused the new moon to become alive again, so did the souls of the deceased in the healing waters of the moon. As the moon grew too full, there was not enough room for them all, and they always returned to earth. But how did death come about then? One day, a young boy's mother died, and he pleaded with the moon to bring her back alive again. With deep empathy, the moon said, "Rest assured, my boy. Your mother will return to you alive. She is just sleeping for a while. She isn't dead." But the boy argued, "My mother is really dead. The wind has left her nostrils and the fire is gone from her body." But the more the moon tried to explain, the more the boy quarreled until the moon eventually lost its temper and hit the boy on the mouth. Immediately, the boy turned into a hare. This incident being the reason why hares still today have a split upper lip. The moon then said, "Because of you, I will curse all the people. Henceforth they will die and never return alive. But if they do not argue with me, and not, as you did, make me out as a liar, then I will again one day take pity on them and make them rise from their graves."
Well, I hope you're enjoying these stories. And if you missed any, please go back to my YouTube channel and go and watch them. See you next time. Bye.